Namaskaram, a very good morning, one all present here. It is my honor to welcome you all for the grand launch of Ustream. So, ஒரு வார்த்தை கேட்கும்போது நீ வந்து ஒரு சில கைத்தட்டலாச்சு எதிர்பார்த்தேன். Yes? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, before this, I would also request you all to give one other applause for the legendary person who has brought this wonderful massiveness into நம்ம தமிழ்நாடு சென்னையில் இன்னைக்கு யூஸ்ட்ரீம் இங்கே கொண்டு வந்திருக்காரு. வேற யாரும் இல்லை, நம்ம இந்த விழாவோட நாயகனுக்காக ஒரு பெரிய கைத்தட்டல் கொடுத்துடலாம். So his interest in technology of music has now brought several awards, pride and honor to India. Now his interest has been brought this Ustream in Chennai with a huge round of applause and honor. Let us also welcome press, media, family, friends and cinema, ad and television team here for supporting Ustream grand launch. With all about the Nayagan here, இன்னைக்கு இதை தாண்டி இன்னொரு முக்கியமான விஷயம் இருக்கு. வாட் இஸ் யூஸ்ட்ரீம், என்ன நடந்துட்டு இருக்கு அப்படின்றதெல்லாம் தாண்டி இன்னைக்கு வந்து ஒரு சென்னையில ஒரு பிரமாண்டமான ஒரு விஷயம், ஸோ ஒரு பிரமாண்டமான விஷயத்த வந்து ரொம்ப ஹம்பிளா நடந்துட்டு இருக்கு. அது என்ன அப்படின்னு பார்க்கும்போது இட் இஸ் ஆல் அபவுட் தி யூஸ்ட்ரீம். ஸோ யூஸ்ட்ரீம் லான்ச்சஸ் கட்டிங் எட்ஜ் virtual production studio in ARR Film City. Ustream, a tech-driven, full-service virtual production studio, is officially opening doors from today at நம்ம ARR Film City. So, எல்லா முகத்திலையும் ஒரு ஸ்மைலோட கைதட்டல் வரணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். Yes, thank you. இன்னும் நிறைய யூஸ்ட்ரீம் பத்தி பார்க்கறதுக்கு பேசுறதுக்கு இன்னும் நிறைய பேர் இருக்காங்க. ஸோ ஐ எம் குட் அட் இட், பட் இன்னும் தாண்டி இன்னும் முக்கியமான ஆளுங்கெல்லாம் இருக்கும்போது ஐம் ஹியர் ஹம்பிளி லிவிங் த ஸ்டேஜ். பட் பிஃபோர் தட் இங்க வந்திருக்க எல்லாருக்காகவும் ஒரு பெரிய நன்றி அண்ட் வெல்கம் யூ ஆல் டு தி கிராண்ட் லான்ச் ஆஃப் யூஸ்ட்ரீம். ஸோ நெக்ஸ்ட் அஜெண்டா ஆஃப் தி டே வுட் பி ஆப்வியஸ்லி த கிராண்ட் லான்ச் ஆஃப் யூஸ்ட்ரீம் தான். ஸோ நம்ம இந்த யூஸ்ட்ரீமோட லான்ச்சை பார்த்து என்ஜாய் பண்ணலாம். நெக்ஸ்ட் ஃபியூ மினிட்ஸ் இஸ் கோயிங் to be a virtual production launch for you guys. Thank Mr. Sri Santaram, a technopreneur also joining hands for the launch of Ustream, who has also been a wonderfully into large-scale VFX office across South. He has also been a wonderful person for joining hands with Ustream. So thank you so much for all the people here for making the grand launch a big successful day. So இதை தொடர்ந்து launch பத்தி நிறைய பேசுறதுக்காக we have a expert here. So ஒரு பெரிய கைத்தட்டல் கொடுத்து நம்ம வெல்கம் பண்ணலாம். He is a seasoned CG artist and worked for blockbuster hits like Jurassic World, The Lion King, Jungle Book at studios like Disney, ILM, Digital Domain. So இதோட தாண்டி இன்னொரு முக்கியமான விஷயம் பார்க்கும்போது நம்ம மட்டும் இந்த கலைகளை வந்து கற்றுக்கிட்டாம இன்னும் நிறைய பேர் கற்றுக் கொடுக்கணுன்ற ஒரு பிகஸ்ட் நல்ல விஷயங்களுக்காக he has also been a co-founder of CG Pro. With a huge round of applause, let's welcome Edward Dawson.
Hello? Hello? So, thank you. Sorry, I'm quite tall. There we go. Well, thank you very much to Ustream and ARR Film City for having me over from Los Angeles. I'm originally from somewhere else. I'm originally from London, but I've been in LA working in film for about the last 12 years, and I've had the privilege of working on some pretty cool movies for people like ILM and Moving Picture Company, and I'll talk about that in just a second, but let me just make sure this thing works. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about virtual production, what it is, what it's not, some of the different things you can do with it. I've worked in it quite a lot, and I also do some training in it, but I'll talk about that in a second. So just a quick intro to myself. My name's Ed Dawson-Taylor. I originally was a software engineer, but I've been in the world of visual effects for about the last 20 years, and I've got to work at places like ILM and MPC and Digital Domain. And while I was at Digital Domain, I jumped onto this kind of experimental movie called Jungle Book. And they were trying to make a movie in a different way. They were trying to use game engines really for the first time in production. So having that experience and getting to work on that is some of what I'll talk about today. But it was really also kind of the birth of this thing called virtual production. Well, it was really before that. It was really kind of Avatar that led into Jungle Book, even arguably before that. But we'll get into that. So I've had the privilege of working in some of the kind of formative movies in virtual production. And because of that, I started a school, which I'll also talk about in a second. But I really come from the world of visual effects, making things like this, working on Jurassic World. That was my childhood dream when I was 14 and I saw that movie, and I just got really inspired to work on trying to make dinosaurs in the movies, and I actually got to do it eventually at ILM, which was super cool. But really the pivot into virtual production and using game engine technology and real-time technology was really through these two movies, The Jungle Book and The Lion King, and these were really pioneering movies. They were such a privilege to work on, being in a room very much like this with motion capture technology. We didn't have LED walls at that point. We were really just using blue screen or no screen at all, but using a lot of the principles that I'll talk about today. And a lot of the technologies that now have evolved into this thing called Unreal Engine and some new tech that's coming out were really invented on this movie. This one in particular, The Lion King, was a very, very pioneering movie. You can see the environment there. It does look very familiar. It looks like this room. And it was, a bunch of key creatives like Jon Favreau, the director, Caleb Deschanel, the DP, and there's probably me in the background there somewhere, making sure that they're all having a good time and looking around, scouting this virtual set, which you can kind of see in the top there. Things have come a long way since that image. But really what they're doing is like they're scouting, they're looking around in the virtual world, much like you would in the real world. So I worked on a bunch of other things, including some AI. This was an AI race car championship, and really using the same technologies to do all sorts of other things, which I'll talk about briefly as well. But what my dream was to start a school, because I realized that the only people who had access to this technology were people who could hire MPC, which is not very many people. So we birthed this school, CG Pro, and that was really to try and get it out into the world. We wanted the individual people to have access to this technology, be able to use it themselves from one person or a small studio, and not just have it be these big, large budget ventures that could have access to it. So CG Pro was born. Somehow we became the top training center in the world for teaching this subject. And that's what I love doing now, is really helping people, as well as working in our studio, Edge Visual, is helping people get access to this technology and really shining a light on it. So it's a real pleasure for me to be here and get to meet a new community of filmmakers and share what I've experienced. So first off, virtual production. I'm going to talk about virtual production for a few minutes. Virtual production is a new name, I guess, but it's not new. Really, what we're looking at here in this big, beautiful LED wall is the modern equivalent of rear projection, which goes back to some old movies, like going back to the 30s, almost 100 years that we've been trying to put stuff in the background of live action and creating special effects. And we're really, all of you, I'm sure, are very familiar with special effects. All of it gets done in this country these days. So the evolution of special effects, where we've gone with that from the old days of rear projection, practical special effects, starting to composite things with the early experiments with Star Wars, and then flash forwards to advances in visual effects, and then really virtual production starting to appear through movies like Lord of the Rings, Avatar, Lion King, Jungle Book, and ending up in The Mandalorian, which I did not work on, although I was asked. I had a child and I chose family life just for a minute. But really, all of this is all building on top. The point here is it's building on top of things that have been done for a long time. So if anyone's kind of nervous about trying virtual production, or they're worried they're going to have to learn a whole lot of new stuff, the main thing I would say is that a lot of it is the same. A lot of the equipment is the same, the people are the same, the language is the same. It's all the language of filmmaking, but we're adding layers on top of it to be able to do more. And really the goal of using something like this is to get visual effects in camera. So it's often called in-camera visual effects, as well as being called virtual production. It's not all just the LED wall. People do use green screens as well, but using an LED wall is we're really trying to capture visual effects in camera and avoid having to do post-production for every single shot, there's some advantages to that in terms of time and potentially budget. But really, for me, what it's allowed people to do is have the freedom to play, to watch people like Jon Favreau and Caleb play and make a movie, and have the flexibility to work in a kind of visual effects way, but actually being able to do it on set. That's a magic experience, and something which really was new to me and to the world. And watching people being able to do that I think is bringing fun back and creativity back to the filmmaker. So I think it's very cool, and it has a lot of advantages. Virtual production's used a lot, and just very briefly here, it does represent more than just the LED volume. As I said, virtual production refers to things like visualizations, various different types, like previs, tech viz, stunt viz. All of the visualizations can be done at home. They can be done without all of this equipment, but still be considered virtual production. And in fact, we can connect these environments together. So you can have this world be on this LED wall here, but also have it in other buildings, or even people at home, people in their homes can all connect these worlds together and interact with each other and control from all over the world. And we've done this a lot, having a wall, but actually the people who are driving it being in different countries. So really, it is everything from production and being able to film in camera, all the way back to pre-production and being able to visualize things and test things, and then all the way through to post-production as well. So virtual production kind of affects every different step of the process. It can be used for all of these different things. So, in fact, I might turn these around very slightly so I can see the screen. So there's lots of different things that you can use it for. You can use it for movies, commercials, broadcast, live events, corporate video, installations. And the reason for saying that is that once you've got this technology and you've got the methods, you can use it for all sorts of different industries, and that's really useful. And in America right now, there's a bit of a strange thing happening to the film industry, and it's really useful to know that you can go and do all these other things as well with this technology. Lots of people diversify and help their income by being able to do other stuff with this technology. As I said, it includes using these things, using LED walls. It includes using green screen. There's a future where we can do it without any screen at all, because AI is now becoming good enough to be able to cut foregrounds out and then use it on any background. That kind of future is possible. So There is the benefits to having LED walls are more than just a background, though. You can use there is light coming from it. In fact, you can see it on the floor there a little bit. And that light will also play onto the foreground. So the lights that you use, also that you plug into the system, can also be controlled by the environment. They can be colored by the environment. So really what you can do is kind of surround your live action with light that's coming a bit from the wall, a bit from these lights, and then have everything kind of feel like it belongs together. So it avoids things that you typically get in green screens, where you have to take all the green out of everything, and that's time consuming. And so the light can look a little bit more natural. It can feel more like the integration has been done better and give you a better result. But also it helps the action, the actors, the filmmakers, everybody to be able to see what's going on, and they can feel like they're in the world. If anyone's familiar, I'm sure many of you are, working in big green screen volumes, it's difficult. It's hard to be in a big green space, and especially if you're an actor, and imagine what's going on around you. But when you can actually see it, it actually ends up affecting the performance. They can understand where they are, they can feel it a little bit more, and they can react to it a little bit better. So it has this kind of effect of improving all of these things a little bit more automatically. There's a lot of words here, so if anyone wants these slides, they're welcome to have a copy. But in terms of content, the orange words here, we can make things with computer graphics and put them through the wall. We'll see some of that in a minute. That's very similar to anyone who's used to visual effects and building CG worlds. We build virtual worlds, we can show them on the wall, and we'll see that in a minute. There's also ways of scanning the world, and a couple of different ways of doing that. We can do photogrammetry, where we can capture the real world. We can also use this stuff called NeRFs, or Gaussian splats, where you actually kind of photograph the world, and then you can use a more photographic kind of volumetric basis in the screen. That image in the bottom there is the result of hundreds of photographs that were taken. And when you've done it, you then have this background that you can kind of move the camera around in and get the same perspective shift. But it's very photographic. It is photographic in nature. So it sometimes can be better than CG, which can sometimes look a bit CG, if you use that photographic basis. And this is a kind of AI neural net driven technology that's starting to get used more. So it's a work in progress. The way we're able to utilize some of these technologies is evolving all the time. We're also starting to see the use of, video's been used going back to the 1930s. Video was used on rear projection significantly, so that's not a new thing. But we also have 360 video, and that kind of exploded during the VR hype of 8 years ago. But it's now really finding a new home in these kinds of environments. Using 360 video, if you have a kind of 360 world that you're shooting in, you can play that back on this wall, and you can turn around the perspective. Or if you have it surrounding you more, if you have some walls coming around here and here, and maybe a ceiling, that 360 video can be played back inside that volume and do all of the stuff I was explaining, like lighting the stuff that's in the middle here, the talent, the art department. So 360 video is really, really cool as well. It's obviously very photographic. And then there's more stuff that you'll hear about today, the AI, generative AI that's emerging. It's people are trying to figure out how to use it, both from a kind of control point of view, of like deciding what they want to be in it, but also the legal perspective. That differs, I'm sure, country to country. It's very different. But people are trying to figure it out. In terms of its ability and its power, it's starting to become very, very powerful. Being able to make things that would take a very long time and a lot of artists, and making those kinds of things more efficiently. So I think we're going to see a demo of some virtual characters through today. Here's an example here. We're using Unreal Engine. One of my instructors, Scott, built a zombie generator and has this kind of zombie army, which is procedurally created. So you can have hundreds of zombies running around in your movie, or regular humans, or any type of character, but have those kind of procedurally generated and running in real time, so they can be actually running around in the background there. There's, as I said, many other things that you can use this technology for, from visualizing, collaboration, which I mentioned, being able to actually work together using these technologies. It's almost like a metaverse. If you think Unreal Engine, the container that we build these virtual environments in, can be connected, that means that your army of artists can exist all over the planet and be working together. They don't have to be in the same room anymore, which is very liberating in terms of the talent pool and the speed of being able to collaborate on things. There's sensing and motion, which I think we're going to see a demo of some mocap. That's one way that we can sense the real world, but there's all kinds of other things that we can do to sense the real world. There's obviously things like VR, there's digital twins where you're making a copy of the real world that you can shoot. Broadcast, there's training. People use these environments. Like we worked with NASA last year, and they put the moon on one of these things, and they had a moon rover in front of it, and they were training the astronauts on what it would be like to be on the moon. Obviously very expensive to go to the moon, so they can train in this kind of environment first. So I'm going to, in the interest of time, I'm going to kind of whiz through these, but these are just really breakdowns of the things that I just mentioned and what we can do with real-time rendering. And these game engines have really advanced to the point where there's shots from these that have been appearing in movies for years. There's a shot from the recent Matrix movie. This is not from a movie here, but you can see the kind of fidelity that you can get out of a game engine now is coming to the point where these kinds of scenes can have the same detail in them that traditional visual effects shots would only be capable of. And the Matrix City demo there, when I first started in visual effects, I had to make a real CG city, and it didn't look as good as that, and it certainly didn't run in real time. It took a week to render on the farm, but now we can see things like that actually rendering in real time and displaying on the wall, and we can shoot directly into that kind of environment. And some motion examples here. We'll see some examples from Xsens, I believe, today. Mocap is really being able to capture the motion of humans and apply it to other virtual humans or to creatures, if you like, dinosaurs even. I'm a big fan of the Sony product, the Macopy, which is a very affordable mocap solution, and the Stretch Sense gloves, but there's lots of great products like the Xsens suit, which is probably the highest end inertial type mocap suit that's out there. So I'm just going to whiz through this a little bit on digital twins here. One of the jobs that I've had was making digital twins of real racetracks, and this project here was a virtual and real race car championship. So the race cars that were racing around the track had no driver. They were racing themselves, and they had virtual cars and power-ups and obstacles, and it was grounded in reality. So we used real environments and then raced the cars in those real environments, but we also had that kind of virtual layer over the top. So there's all sorts of stuff that this technology can be used for. Obviously, again, broadcast, these virtual sets. That one in the scene there is a virtual set in the background that we built for Microsoft and NVIDIA for NAB. And it's just really a big advantage, especially for live broadcast, being able to see the background, to be able to catch it in the camera at the same time. So yeah, simulation, games, obviously, you guys probably all know what computer games are, and various different types of immersive experiences, from location-based entertainment to things like simulation for the military and all sorts of stuff. So this was another project we worked on for Sony. It was the Gran Turismo movie, and this is a shot from Unreal Engine again, very complex, lots of detail. And this can be played on an LED wall. In this case, it was played on a stereo monitor that's like VR. And then there's VR. This was what we were doing for NASA here, getting a huge chunk of the moon into Unreal Engine. And you could use that for a movie background. In this case, as I said, they were using it for astronaut training. But that's all the kind of stuff that's really possible with using this type of technology. I won't go in depth into this, but really the two ways that we're trying to make content fast is proceduralism. That Matrix City was made with a system. It wasn't built by artists by hand. It was built with a kind of system. Proceduralism is one way to make things really fast. And I would say the other way is through AI. And AI is a big buzzword at the moment. People are either really excited about it or scared by it. Not so much in between. But AI is really starting to become quite powerful. It is capable of doing all these things I'll mention in a moment. And we're trying to figure out exactly where we are in terms of AI. There's a picture of this kind of hype curve, which is common for new innovations, like virtual production, like the place we're sitting right now, and AI and VR and the metaverse and all these things that you'll all have heard about and maybe been involved in. But typically new innovations go through a big hype cycle and then they come back down again into reality and they kind of grow slowly from there. So with AI, people have no idea where we are on that curve, but everybody's very excited about it. People are very looking to it to build efficiency and have less people be able to make more, which is great, especially for individuals and independent artists. It's very powerful. If I was to give anyone any advice about it, I would say check it out. Make sure you know what it's capable of. Don't be afraid of it. Become aware and educate yourselves on what it is and what it's not, rather than pretend that it doesn't exist. But be aware of what it's capable of and what it's not. I don't think that personally the artistry is going away because of AI. I think it's going to empower artists to be able to do more. It's completely the Wild West right now. But in thinking about it being AI, artificial intelligence, the important part is that there isn't really any intelligence in it. It's very powerful. It's very using computers to be able to do more than we could before. But it's not really intelligent, not truly. But it is very powerful. As I said, I believe it's going to help artists as opposed to replace them. But I do believe that artists need to learn about it and they need to understand what it can do. Otherwise, they might be replaced by people that don't know about AI. So I would definitely encourage everybody, even if you're not an artist, to understand it a little bit more. The main problems with it are control and copyright. The control part is really asking a machine to do what you want it to do. There is a control problem at the moment. It's hard to tell AI to do exactly what you want it to do. And then there's also the copyright thing, which is a lively debate. But really, clients want control. We all know that. And if you want to release your movie, you've got to be careful about how you made it in many cases. So just being aware of what those things mean is important. But it's super powerful. You can generate backgrounds. We'll probably hear about that a bunch today. Really what it is, I'm not going to read all those words, don't worry, but if you put a small amount of input in, a black box that is a mystery, does a whole bunch of work for you, and then out the other end, hopefully beautiful results come out. This is kind of how proceduralism works too, but AI is really, we're trying to put very little effort into something, have the computer do tons of work for us, and then hopefully the right output comes out the other end. And that's very intentional because if anyone who's experimented with AI knows that maybe the right output doesn't come out the other end, and you have to have some dialogue with the computer, and it's that interaction is a little bit the Wild West right now. So in terms of what AI can do, and I will endeavor to wrap this up in a minute, it can make imagery. I'm sure you all know most of this, but I'll just run through it. It can make imagery. There's a whole bunch of tools that can take text and make images out of them. Hopefully the right images, but the control part is very tricky. It can make video. It can make video from text. It can make video from images. It can make video from sketches. And there's all kinds of inputs. My personal take on all of this, again, is that what everybody thinks that it is we're just putting a few words into a box, and out of the other end comes a movie. Having worked in studios full of world-class artists before, I have never had an experience where I've had a team of like the best artists in the world, and I've just been able to say words to them, and then magic comes out of that. Usually it involves drawing pictures and sharing them and doing notes on them and doing paint-overs and lots and lots of visual communication. So I think that AI is going to be no different than that, and really we're going to have to feed these systems with a lot of that same type of communication. So I would be wary of anyone who says that the future is just words and then movies popping out, but it is going to be prevalent in, I think, just about everything that we do in every part of the process. It can make 3D models. It can, build these models here were built from kind of early experiments with AI 3D creation. It can do visual effects. So here is an example from Wonder Studios at the top right there. That's a program which recently was bought by Autodesk. But what it's doing is copying. There was a real person on the right there instead of the robot. And it took that person, painted them out, got the motion from that person and applied it to a digital character, and then composited that digital character, lit it, composited it back over the top. And that's all. That whole process used to be what I did for a living. It doesn't do everything that you want it to do, but it's starting to take some of those processes and be able to take some of the grunt work away from that process and hopefully free people up to be more creative. That's my personal hope with AI, is that it frees us up to be more creative and spend more time creating rather than doing all the sort of administrative stuff that takes to prep and prepare the work. So there's visual effects, there's motion extraction. Using video, we can get motion from video now using AI, which is super useful. I mean, it opens up mocap to everybody pretty much. You don't necessarily need all of the suit-based stuff and the more expensive kind of Vicon and OptiTrack systems. They're all still absolutely necessary, but it's really cool that you can do it with a mobile phone now. So we can get motion, we can do visual effects, we can get 3D models. There's this thing I mentioned earlier called Gaussian splats or NeRFs. There's an attempt at trying to show what that means, in the bottom image there, and in the top, showing you how just from a whole series of photographs, you can now have a kind of volumetric photo, if you like, and be able to move around in it. And for that reason, we can use it in this environment here. We can use it as a background. The challenge with it is hard to kind of work with. Like our traditional stuff we've worked with is polygons, and they're easy to kind of edit, easy-ish, to edit and manipulate and make them do what you want. This stuff is a bit harder to edit right now, and it's more difficult to kind of delete things or add things or light things, but that's starting to emerge. But the cool thing is it's very photographic by nature. It's very easy in a way to make. And the cool thing is if you're on a movie set, imagine you're on location, you can take all of these pictures and then bring them back with you. So when you're done on the shoot, you're finished, you don't want to go back out on that shoot again, you can bring the scan with you, and then if you've got a reshoot or a pickup or something, you can come into one of these spaces and you've already got the set that you shot on, and then you can put it on this wall and do your reshoot. And then maybe it will only take a few hours to do a reshoot, some dialogue scene or an insert shot. So that's something which is very easy to do. You can just take the photographs while you're out on set, and then be able to not have to, very expensive to go back on the shoot again. So you can use these to great effect with that. So I'm pretty much done. Just to say that what skills people need to be able to do this. Mainly it's all the traditional stuff. It's really the production skills, being able to understand cameras and lenses and lights and all the traditional stuff that we've all done for a long time. Computer graphics, traditional computer graphics, it's been around long enough to call it traditional, but traditional computer graphics skills still valid, being able to make 3D worlds kind of the same way. There's some stuff on top of that we need to know, how to make this stuff run fast and optimize it to make it run on these kinds of environments. But then really, the film people don't necessarily know CG. Film people should learn a bit of CG. And CG people kind of need to learn about filmmaking. We've been hidden in a dark room for a long time, working on shots at the end of their life. But virtual production is really inserts computer graphics into pre-production. So we kind of need to know how the film community talks and what they do and what they care about. So CG people kind of need to like upskill in the filmmaking side of things, and then filmmakers really benefit from using this. In fact, so many of the DPs that I've trained, they get so much utility from being able to use Unreal Engine even without all of this kit, just so they can preview the world they're about to go and shoot. And with that, you can figure out all of the lights you need for your shoot. You can figure out, okay, this space doesn't fit this crane in. You can get all of the right equipment, test everything, and then just spend the money that you need to spend and not find out on set that you got all the wrong equipment and you have to go and get some more. And it saves you time because you've already practiced, you've already found your camera angles everywhere. So there's huge benefits to everybody in the process. CG Pro is partnering with Ustream to help bring this knowledge to you all. We'll probably say more about that, but I'm personally very excited about that, to be able to bring the knowledge that me and my team have gained, to be able to bring it to this part of the world and to people who haven't experienced it before. Very happy to talk about that more. I'm going to be around for the rest of the day. I will be here tomorrow as well. I'm doing a couple of sessions tomorrow for the student community. But anyway, my school, CG Pro, we're a passionate, artist-driven community that really loves this stuff, and we love sharing it. So if you're interested and you want to come talk about it, that's what I do for a living, and I'm here. So feel free to come and speak to me. Some of the clients, as I mentioned, we've worked with these kinds of people: NASA, CNN, Microsoft, Deloitte, Accenture, lots of colleges, 30 to 40 colleges just in the US. And we do public courses, but we also do lots of private trainings, consulting, and we have a studio that makes things too. So we make these backgrounds and environments. We're thrilled to be partnering with this studio, and I don't want to take any more of today because I know there's a lot more to go. So I'm just going to whiz through to the end. I'm going to try. It doesn't want me to. Okay. And I'll leave this up. I believed that said thank you in your language, but it seems to have messed it up a little bit. Hopefully not too much. Feel free to keep in touch. There's my details. That QR code goes to my LinkedIn. Feel free to email me, keep in touch, and work through these guys to work with us if you would like. But thank you very much. Thank you to Ustream. Thank you all for being here. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
இவ்வளோ எஃபர்ட்டை தாண்டி நம்ம அந்த நன்றிக்கு ஒரு வாட்டி ஒரு கைத்தட்டல் கொடுத்துடலாமா? யா, ஓகே. Thank you so much, Ed, for the wonderful, amazing insights. So you have made us go crazy on your work. நம்ம வந்து சின்ன வயசுலேருந்து ஒரு ஜங்கிள் புக் இந்த மாதிரி விஷயங்கள்லாம் பார்க்கும்போது we have been so crazy about the works. ஸோ அதுக்கெல்லாமே வந்து காரணம் வந்து மிஸ்டர் டெட் அப்படின்னு நினைக்கும் போது I feel very much honored to have you here. இன்னும் ஒரு பெரிய கைத்தட்டலோட வெல்கம் பண்ணலாம். Thank you so much. So as you said, நன்றி. We will be in touch with you. நீங்க வந்து நிறைய விஷயங்கள் சொல்லி கொடுக்க போறீங்க. Stay here. நாங்க வந்து உங்ககிட்ட நிறைய லேர்ன் பண்ண போறோம். ஸோ இதெல்லாம் தாண்டி ஸோ எட் பேசியாச்சு, கூட்டிட்டு வந்தவங்க இவங்க எல்லாருமே பேசணும். ஆனா அதை தாண்டி இன்னைக்கு இந்த Ustream, the state of art, இந்த விஷயத்தை வந்து அழகா பிரம்மாண்டமா ஒரு சென்னை என்ற ஊரை வந்து நம்ம வந்து இன்னுமே பெருசா காமிக்கணும். நம்ம எதுலையுமே குறைச்சல் இல்லை. நம்ம இந்தியன் சினிமாவை இன்னும் டபுள் மடங்கு மேல கொண்டு போறதுக்காக இந்த யூ ஸ்ட்ரீம் ரொம்ப சக்ஸஸ்ஃபுல்லாக கிராண்ட் லான்ச் பண்ணியிருக்கிற நம்ம ஏஆர் சார் பேசலன்னா எப்படிங்க இருக்கும்? ஒரு பெரிய கைத்தறல் கொடுங்க. இஃப் யூ ஆர் ரியலி ரியலி லவிங் டு ஹியர் ஃபியூ வேர்ட்ஸ் ஃப்ரம் ஹிம். இல்லை இந்த சத்தம் எனக்கு பத்தலைன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஸோ ஃபியூ வேர்ட்ஸ் ஃப்ரம் யூ.
Welcome, everyone. What happens when you earn a lot of money? You want to put it back in the field where you earned it, right? So, when I was looking at, I went for shootings to many places and it looked like symmetry. Places were so bad. This place for filmmakers. And once I started building, everybody started, oh, that's a great idea. Let me make one. So I've made this, I collaborated with Ustream. We've been thinking about this for 3-4 years. And I was quite amazed by the presentation, and I hope that full and makers and not young, all filmmakers. Even weddings, you can come here, take photographs. Welcome to Ustream, ARR Film City, YM Studios. God bless. Thank you.
As always, நிறைய வார்த்தைகள் கிடையாதுங்க. ஒரு வார்த்தைனாலும் நம்ம அந்த என்ன பேசணுமோ அதை பேசணும், நம்ம வேலைகள் பேசும் அப்படின்றது தான். ஸோ ப்ரெஸ் கொஷின்ஸ் வில் பி ஹெடட் அப் அட் தி எண்ட் செஷன் தான். ஸோ வித் திஸ் ஒரு இன்னொரு முக்கியமான தருணங்களில் வந்து இப்போ நான் கொடுக்கணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். இன்னும் ஒரு முக்கியமான ஆளுங்களாம் வந்து நம்மளுக்கு ப்ரெசென்ட் பண்ணணும், நம்மளுக்காக நிறைய விஷயங்களை கற்றுக்கிட்டு வந்திருக்கிறாங்க. ஸோ வித் திஸ் லெட் இஸ் ஆல்சோ வெல்கம் another honoring person who is here for us. I would like to welcome Ayan, who owns Dimension 5 based out of Boston. He is here to energize more about the AI in virtual production. ஒரு பெரிய கைத்தறல் கொடுத்து let's welcome Ayan. In virtual, so I would request you all to join the call. So we still have Ayan coming online. So before that, take something about it. So இன்னைக்கு எட்வர்ட் கிட்ட நிறைய விஷயங்களை தெரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டோம். So இன்னைக்கு யூஸ்ட்ரீம்ல we are gonna gain more knowledge about machine learning. So machine learning ஓட upgraded versions தான் நம்ம இப்போ பார்க்க போறோம். So இன்னைக்கு இந்த டெக் வந்து இன்னுமே பிரமாண்டமா யூஸ் பண்றது எப்படின்றது வந்து இன்னும் ஒருத்தர் காமிக்க போறாரு. Stay tuned with us.
Hey, okay. You guys can hear me all right? All right. So it sounds like you can. Awesome. So I'm going to kind of go through this. Thank you all for being here at Ustream. We're really going to quickly go over and look at what this AI technology can do here. This is Cuebric. And so with Cuebric, what we have is a visionary new tool that allows you to take what's in your mind and bring it into the real world as quickly as possible. As Ed was talking about, it's not always one size fits all, but with different tools and different platforms, our goal is to really take what's in your mind and bring that into the real world. So we'll continue to this next slide here as we move along. But again, with virtual production, the reason why we started with virtual production is it allows creatives, filmmakers, and a group of people to all get on the same page. Generally, with normal production like green screen, you would have only a couple group of people like a director and the DP on set would know our final goals. Now, with virtual production, because we have this amazing LED screen, you're able to quickly understand what your director and DP want. And so your team, from a production assistant to a grip, a gaffer, Best Boy Electric, everybody understands what's on the screen and what they're creating. So with Cuebric, we've taken the time of creation from anywhere between 2 weeks to 2 months and really scaling that down to something a lot quicker. We'll move on to the next scene here as well. As you saw there, these are some examples of images or pictures that have been shot on a volume using Cuebric. We can go to the next slide here. And not only do you have the ability to create films, but you also have the ability to create video games and other commercials as well. We can move to the next one here. That's great. So anything from gaming to visualization to animation, advertising. We also are in production with K through 12 education, so they can get their hands on AI effects. And then finally, that virtual production. And so if we go to this next scene, you'll actually start to see what the generations are creating here and what our workflow looks like. Awesome. So from concept and art and pre-production, we're able to take an image or a sketch or something that was done just at home, or if you had an idea, and really type out the vision and the experience you're looking for. From there, you can go into your pre-visualization with your team. Really, with virtual production, the sooner that all of your key department heads can be on the same page, the better. But what's great about Cuebric is you're not just taking that virtual production knowledge and that pre-production and leaving it behind. You're taking that into production with you with this virtual art department side of things. So that goes right inside your LED wall or inside any other virtual production tools, like right inside Unreal Engine. If we go to this next slide, you'll actually begin to see the final result of these digital scenes. And so what's great about this is you have amazing solutions here, like in painting. And so quickly jumping through, these are some other solutions that people offer for in painting, as you're seeing there. But if we go back to that first original one, you can kind of see how it looks inside of it. So you can take an original scene like that, yep, and then show that next one and bring in helicopters or other things. We're basically showing the other versions of in painting and then the solution that Cuebric has. If you go to that inner city type environment, you can start to see how we start with a base scene that might be from online, or if you're going location scouting and using Cuebric's in painting, you're able to get a really realistic scene on that next one. That's more of an overlook onto a city street. So anything that you're looking for to edit. And the great part about this is if you go to the next frame and play that video back, you actually can take popular films. This is what we're showing for the in painting. So you can kind of change an idea or a story rather quickly, from this quick James Bond film, and show that, the background can change very rapidly. And as well, if we're going to use this for virtual production, you can change the background, but also remove the character here. And so what that will allow us to do is not only set us in a place of showing him running away from something, but also gets us ready for a virtual production shoot if we wanted to use the scene on our own. So this is what it was before, and this is what it's looking like after all the adjustments. From there, we can kind of show you the selection tool. If anybody's utilized rotoscoping before, the selection tool does take a lot of time. As you can see here, this is our scene, and the next scene will show you the in-painting and the actual selection. That's Cuebric selection. And then from there, we're showing you a couple competitor selection. Tree branches are generally the most difficult to actually capture and show off, but with the new segment anything methods, we're able to speed up that workflow incredibly quickly. So you can kind of go through these and show off the different solutions that other people have and then what Cuebric is able to do. All right, so next we were talking about generative mesh, this 2.5D or 2.5D production of the camera. And so as we go through here into this next scene, you're going to see what we're able to do from a general flat image and taking that all the way into our virtual production workflow. So as you're seeing here, we start by step one, creating your concept art and uploading your franchise image IP. Refining and controlling that with concept art and your Pro AI brushes. There is a next step coming very soon in 2024, which is 360-degree generation and image-to-image generation. And then step four, we're turning that 2D image into a 2.5D layer. So we're using generative mesh and depth maps to simulate depth from close to further away for our foreground, midground, and background elements. And we're able to actually bring that into our virtual production set, as you're seeing in the results to the bottom right. You can go to the next scene, which will show off the actual change in what we're looking at here. And so within Cuebric, you're actually able to click on this image and show depth that's parallaxing as if you're moving the camera in the digital world. Again, this is taking your image generation time from weeks or months down to a couple days. And again, just like any tool, there's very, very good reasons to use one tool over the other, depending on how complex your image is. From there, we can go to the next one, and we're actually bringing it into Unreal Engine, Blender, or other 3D pipelines. You're seeing it here quickly, showing that we're actually getting more than just flat image planes, and we're actually getting depth onto these images, which is really exciting when you're working in virtual production. The goal is to maintain as much parallax as possible. From there, our final shot is at actually playing back on a volume or an LED wall. This is our LED wall in New Hampshire here, 45 minutes from Boston. And so these same scenes, this is on a 65-foot LED wall by 14.5 feet, can all be simulated and played back utilizing, motion control arms, using what you're seeing here, which is a Kira motorized precision. But you also can hook that up to any controller. And again, we'll wrap up here. This is me in the scene, kind of walking on set. And again, you can take any scene in any studio. This one here is roughly 1,600 square feet, and imagine it as big as you want, which is the exciting part. You're taking your vision, your ideas, and you're able to project that onto a display and really teleport or transport your audience and your actors to a different location. Finally, we'll wrap up with a couple other scenes, but we're going to talk about the pipeline here and how you can integrate that. So from concept design to your asset creation and your principal photography, all the way into post and visual effects, you're bringing Cuebric along the way throughout that. So you're taking your idea, generating in there, you're going to the pre-viz and virtual art departments and your visual effects departments, collaborating and talking about what needs to be created, and then you're able to bring that into pre-viz, tech viz, and stunt viz to take your scene and go from there. The final thing before wrapping up here is just showing the pro brushes. As Ed from CG Pro explained, it's not all the time you can enter in a quick prompt and get exactly what you're looking for. And so what we did was we gave specific models for you and your creative team to use. So you can enter in one prompt, and whether you want that to be sci-fi, classic, moody, or even a bit of stylistic in that top right, you can see you can get a bunch of different varieties with just one click. And you can kind of cycle through these as you're showing these off, just as this is finishing, so we can kind of show a couple of these slides. And what's great about Cuebric is you get unlimited image generation. So generally, if you're working with other AI tools, you get cut off halfway through when you're working. And so we don't want to interrupt the creative process. And as you're going and working through this creative process, you'll get ideas and want to try new things. You can kind of click through all of these images just to show them all the images that it's generating. And again, these are specifically built for filmmaking. So the prompts are made so that you can create really beautiful digital worlds as you're seeing here. And again, you can kind of keep switching through. So it's really endless. It really comes down to the creative at the end of the day. Just like a tool, like a microphone is used for any singer to use, it really comes down to the artist and what they're looking to create. And so again, I appreciate all of you guys for your time here. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You're surrounded with a lot of amazing talent and a lot of amazing people. So please connect. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Hayan. So, despite all the busy schedules, he has come online to let us know more about the virtual production. So, more about the virtual production பார்க்கும்போது it is to be நம்ம வந்து ஒரு ஜாம்பவான பேச வச்சாச்சு, கிராண்ட் லான்ச் பண்ணியாச்சு. நம்ம எல்லாருமே இன்னும் என்ன ஒரு விஷயங்கள் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னா we have to think wisely. இது இன்னுமே அப்கிரேட் பண்ணலாமா, எப்படி பண்ணலாம், என்ன நம்ம ஆடியன்ஸ் கொடுக்க போறோன்றது வந்து ரொம்ப எளிமையா யோசிச்சு இங்க கொண்டு வந்திருக்காங்க. ஸோ அதெல்லாம் தாண்டி இங்க எஜுகேட் பண்றதுக்கு எட்வர்ட் இருக்கிறாங்க, யூஸ்ட்ரீம் டீம் இருக்காங்க. ஸோ யூஸ்ட்ரீம் டீம் வந்து என்ன பண்ண போறாங்க அப்படின்னா they are gonna let us know how we are utilizing it furthermore. So in the Ustream team என்ன பண்ண போறாங்கன்னா they will be educating us, they're letting know us how to mandatorily use it. ஒரு லைவ் ஷோ இப்போ பார்க்க போறோம். ஸோ அந்த லைவ் ஷோவை முன்னிட்டு நம்ம இன்னும் நிறைய விஷயங்கள் பேச போறோம். ஸோ ப்ரெஸ் டீம், மீடியா டீம், ஐ வுட் ரிக்வெஸ்ட் யூ டு பி காம் அண்ட் கம்போஸ்ட். இன்னும் கொஞ்ச நேரம் கழிச்சு தான் உங்களோட கொஸ்டினர் ஷூட் பண்ண முடியும். எங்க தலைவர் இங்கே தான் இருப்பாரு. ஸோ கீப் யுவர் செல்ஃப் காம் தேர். ஸோ அதை தாண்டி இன்னும் முக்கியமான விஷயம், மை டீம் யூஸ்ட்ரீம் டீம் இஸ் ரெடி டு லெட் யூ நோ அண்ட் எஜுகேட் யூ. அண்ட் இந்த டெமோ செஷன்ஸ் வந்து இன்னுமே பிகர் அண்ட் வைசராக ஆக்கிறதுக்காக நீங்க எல்லாருமே ஒரு நல்ல கைத்தட்டல் கொடுக்கலாம்னு நினைக்கிறேன். To have the Ustream team here to present you and give you a quick demonstration to letting you know more about Ustream, the state of art. ஸோ திங்ஸ் ஆர் அப் லைன்ட் அப் ஃபார் யூ. ஸோ இந்த விஷயங்கள் எல்லாமே நீங்கள் வந்து என்ஜாய் பண்ணி இன்னுமே ஒரு பிகர் வெர்ஷன்ஸ் உங்களுக்காக வெயிட் பண்ணி காத்திருந்து நீங்கள் என்ஜாய் பண்ணுங்கள். ஆனால் அதுக்கு முன்னாடி வி ஹாவ் அ டெக்னிக்கல் டீம் கெட்டிங் ரெடி ஃபார் யூ. ஸோ இந்த மீன்வைல் கேப்ஸ் வந்து நாங்கள் இங்கே இருக்கிற எல்லாருமே வந்து மேக் யுவர் செல்ஃப் நெட்வொர்க்கிங். ஸோ அந்த ஒரு சின்ன தருணங்களில் நாங்கள் அதுக்குள்ளே ரெடி ஆகிடுவோம். ஆர் டீம் யூஸ்ட்ரீம் இஸ் ரெடி டு give you a brief introduction and brief demo காமிக்கிறதுக்காக ரெடியாக இருக்காங்க. Stay tuned with us. நன்றி. the main demo. We had a session, a shoot yesterday happened. So, we had a team. So, in the team, they did a session yesterday. In the alakana music video, so on the music video order team. So, I would like to welcome director Kavya and cinematographer Abhishek on stage to reveal us few words. How was your experience shooting up here?
Hi, good morning. So my name is Abhishek and I'm the virtual production supervisor and cinematographer for this shoot with Miss Kavya, who directed this beautiful music video. So this was shot in about 8 hours, right? And in a single day we did edit. And for the purpose of showing the trueness of how the color output is coming from the camera, we did not color grade edume pannala naanga. Direct LUT mattum potu we are showing you how it looks straight from the camera. So this is shot here in about 24 hours. Yeah. So yeah, please enjoy.
And I think just speaking in the perspective of direction and choreography, it's a very small project. A small team came together along with rapper artist Dr. Ike Berry as well as music producer Dave Major. In the past projects we've done together, we've dreamed really, really big, and oftentimes budget or other constraints, whether it's sets or props, they always bring us back down. And in this 24 hours, we traveled to like 3-4 different locations, and we're able to do so much in so little time. So we're just really excited to have been able to experiment with an incredible technology like this. So thank you so much.
So now we'll be watching up the video coming.
Going to show, probably some of them will have a little bit more foreground in, so you'll be able to see the parallax a little bit more. But you can see as the camera moves, if you guys want to just keep going, keep moving through it, you'll see that are they going to load up another scene? Okay. So yeah, as I said, this is built in Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine is a game engine which has traditionally made computer games, but it was discovered that they can also be used to make movies. And that goes back not just in virtual production terms, but also some regular movies. There have been shots that have been made in Unreal Engine from Star Wars movies, Pixar movies, so it's not just virtual production. But the cool thing here is that my job for the last 20 years has been doing visual effects. And rendering these kinds of backgrounds in visual effects takes a very long time. It takes rooms full of computers a long time to produce this imagery. But now the game engine technology has evolved to the point where we can now use a game engine and just about get to that kind of quality level that pre-rendered visual effects can do as well. So we can build these virtual worlds, we can build them in kind of in the same way that we would build them for visual effects. Now, there's been visual effects movies that have had fully CG backgrounds for a long time. We still can build them in the same kind of way. We can spend the time work with designers, with art department, with production designers to really build these the way that we want them. Or, as I said in the talk that I did before, you can go and scan the real world and then put it in here as well. So you can really do both. You can make up a world, or you can go scan the real world. And the same thing is true here as it was with visual effects. Like one of my first mentors in visual effects, I kept hearing this word, photorealism. What does that mean? So I asked my first mentor, what does that mean? How do you do it? And his advice was great, and it still holds to this day, 20 years later. He said, if you start with photography, you're going to end up with something that looks photographic. So in computers, if you start with real photographic textures, photographic reference that you're trying to match to, and now what we can do, which is to scan the real world and use photography to create 3D models. And I think some of the scenes here, I think some of these models in the back here have actually been photo scanned. So they're using a thing called photogrammetry, where you can just take a lot of photographs of a real object. Like I could take pictures of these guys right here, go around them, take 300 pictures, and then make a 3D model that would look really good and look exactly like them, and put them into the world too. And I believe these temples here were also photo scanned. So if we put really good photographic material into the engine, whether it be using photogrammetry or stuff that was modeled by people, or the Nerf or Gaussian splat stuff that we were looking at, or maybe Cuebric, and making photographic elements, layers going into the background there, we might use both. We might use a background, like a matte painting, as you would call it in visual effects. You can still use a matte painting in the background because it's far enough away that we would maybe use a range of mountains or something and use a photograph for that, as we would do in visual effects. But we can actually put it into the game engine and build this world with layers and rich midground and then foreground. And watch out for that camera there. And you can see that it went out of focus there. So another cool thing that you can do is you can marry the focus in the camera with the focus in the background. So if you want to really make the foreground here, like imagine I'm the star of this piece, and the camera's shooting me. It'd be great if we had a monitor here, but just imagine you're seeing me and the background behind you. The thing that really sells this, and the thing that I've seen a lot of this being done, and the difference between good and bad versions of it is really using really good material in the background, just the same as any CG. You use really good material in here, and you spend your time, or you scan the real world. You use photographic techniques to put material into this. It will look photographic as long as you shoot it well. You have a camera crew that understand how to shoot for this kind of thing. You have a good grip crew, so you have people who can light properly and understand how to light the foreground so that it will look the same as the background. Because you need this has some light, right? You can probably see it a little bit casting light on me. So some light comes off this, but you still need traditional lighting. You still need the proper lighting that we've used forever on film sets. And even that is starting to evolve now as well. To the point where, and I think we have some quasar science here and aperture, and some of the people that are making modern LED lighting can receive signal from the Unreal Engine and tell it how bright and what color to make those lights. So those lights can change color and they can change intensity dynamically, being driven by this world. So if you have a set here that's being lit by these lights, a bit by the wall, and you're making sure that you take care of it, and you have grip tools, you use shadow and egg crates and all the things that filmmakers are used to using to make sure that the light is casting in the same direction, so all the shadows in the background make sense with the shadows in the foreground. Everything will feel like it belongs together. and just that's really what sells it. And then also some of the extra stuff that you can add to the camera. You can add some diffusion. You sometimes will even put a little smoke in the environment, like, you know, smoke and mirrors like the good old days, and it just helps kind of take the edge off the wall. The lights help integrate it. The diffusion and having the right glass in front of the glass of the lens can really help kind of take that digital edge off. But as long as you do all those things right, which is predominantly, making sure that you have a good background, a good crew, and you do it right. I think I've come to the end of my time. So thank you for watching the demo.
Well, thank you so much for taking us to next universe level. So we are gonna experience this in நம்ம தமிழ் சினிமாவில் இது வந்து ஃபர்தர் மோர் பார்க்க போகிறோம். ஸோ அதை நினச்சாலே ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமாக இருக்குது. ஆனால் அதை தாண்டி இன்னும் நிறைய விஷயங்கள் இப்போ பார்க்கறதுக்கு முன்னாடி we still have a few other things. ரொம்ப நேரமாக காத்துட்டு இருந்த இந்த ப்ரெஸ் டீமுக்கு வந்து ஒரு விடிவு காலம் வந்த மாதிரி ஹியூஜ் தேங்க்ஸ் ஃபார் த டீம். AR ரஹ்மான் சாருக்கு ஒரு பெரிய நன்றி. அவரோட சேர்ந்து இந்த எனர்ஜி இன்னைக்கு யூ ஸ்ட்ரீமாக ஆரம்பிச்சிட்ருக்கிற சந்தானம் சார் அவர்களுக்கும் ஒரு பெரிய நன்றியோட we are making Ustream a grand successful launch. With this launch we are heading up for the open press meet. So I would request AR sir to come on stage and we'll head up for the press meet session. So press meet team, as usual you have got something to be announced and ஒரு முக்கியமான தருணங்களை வந்து உங்களுக்கு கொடுத்துருக்கோம். ஸோ எங்கள் ஜாம்பவான் எங்கள் ஆஸ்கார் கிங்கை வந்து உங்ககிட்ட ஒப்படைக்கிறோம். மேக் ஷுர் யூ ஆர் ஆஸ்கிங் சம்திங் ரிலேட்டட் டு Ustream only. ஸோ Ustream பற்றியான நிறைய விஷயங்கள் நிறைய கேள்விகள் நீங்கள் கேட்கலாம். ஆனால் அது Ustream-ஆக மட்டும்தான் இருக்கணும். வெல் ஸோ நிறைய விஷயங்கள் நம்ம தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும் இல்லையா? ஸோ அதுக்காக நம்ம ஸ்ரீதர் சாரும் ஜாயின் பண்ணிக்கிறாரு. ஸோ ஐ வுட் ரிக்வெஸ்ட் யூ ஆல் டு கம் ஆன் போடியம்.
Ustream இவரோட கம்பெனி தான், நைஸாக ஒழுகிறார். Any questions? Questions? They got all the answers. Ed actually. Ed had given all the answers. How economical for small budget?
It should be economical. It's as good as less money on your shoot, right? என்ன எடுக்க போறேன்னு இருக்கு இல்லையா? You want to show பிரம்மாண்டம் and small money, you can don't want to spend a lot of a small budget, you can take a mega movie. That's the idea behind it. It's not going to be cheap as such. It's not going to be really cheap. But I'm saying the fact that எடுத்தீங்களானா பெரிய படம் எடுக்கிறது காசுக்கு கொஞ்சம் படம் போட்டு இங்கே எடுக்கலாம்.
My question is feasible? A small budget person can come and take the affordability.
Depending on what he wants to shoot.
Thank you.
Sir, what about the copyright issues? தஞ்சாவூர் கோயில் காமிச்சிங்க. ஸோ அதை ஷூட் பண்ண காப்பிரைட் இஷ்யூ நம்ம இட் வில் கம்ஸ் அண்டர் கவர்மெண்டோட ப்ராப்பர்ட்டியாக இருக்குது.
பட் 10 நாள் வாங்கினா ஒரு நாள் வாங்கினா போதும்.
Okay, okay. That is, that you stream will take care or the producer has to?
Produce can help you with that shoot.
Okay, thanks.
ஹாய் சார். இந்த டெக்னாலஜிலாம் பார்க்கும்போது ரொம்ப சூப்பராக இருக்குது. பட் இது மாதிரி இன்னும் நெக்ஸ்ட் என்ன சார் பிளான் வச்சுருக்கீங்க சார் இந்த மாதிரி பண்ணுறதுக்கு?
இல்லை, இதுவே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஃபஸ்ட்டு ஆரம்பிச்சப்போ இட்ஸ் a collaboration between Ustream and எங்கள் ஸ்டுடியோ. they've gone much more deeper. முதல்ல எல்லாரும் கேட்க வேண்டிய கொஷின்ஸ் ஏஐ இருக்கு. they actually explain everything very beautifully. I never expected that. They've gone deeper into understanding between virtual sets, AI, and how to use it. And thank you for that.
Thank you, sir.
Pixel pitch better.
Chennai.
Chennai, ஆமா முதல்ல சென்னை. Try to bring better talent to help you do better movies. நல்ல ஆளுங்களை கூட்டு நல்ல ஆர்டிஸ்ட் கூட்டு to help you do better backgrounds. Plus pixel pitch கொஞ்சம் different. Pixel more sharpness will be.
They're also planning the roof, the sides and everything. And if it goes well, we'll have one more studio.
Any plans to extend this as a 360 studio?
To custom build depending on project. If project இருந்ததுன்னா always create a custom build 360 or even bigger 100. Doing that is not a problem. அது பண்ணி வச்சிட்டு யாரும் யூஸ் பண்ணலனா wasted. On a special project you can do it.
To here. Your left side. Right.
See you.
Yeah, here.
Oh yeah.
At least to start with, can we make it as a 180?
This project in expert கேட்டிங்களா this is a very big goal. பண்ணல US படம் இப்ப கம்மி பண்ணிட்டாங்க. சின்ன போஸ்ட் எடுக்கணும். எடுக்கறாங்க.
Okay.
அந்த மாதிரி கஸ்டம் ப்ராஜெக்ட் ஒரு ட்ரெயின் எடுத்து எடுக்கணும்னு படம் இருக்குன்னா வேணா ஒரு 180 போடலாம். ஒரு ட்ரெயினை உள்ள வச்சு பண்ணலாம். அது கஸ்டம் பில்ட் ப்ராஜெக்டோட என்ன பண்ண போறாங்க எவ்வளோ அந்த மாதிரி we can build something unique for them.
Okay. So we specialize in VR 360 3D content. So அதை வந்து நாங்கள் லைவாக இப்போது எல்லா இடத்துலையும் எடுத்துகிட்டு இருக்கோம். சென்னை போட்டு ஆல் தோஸ். இப்போ தஞ்சாவூர் கோயில் காட்டும் போது நெக்ஸ்ட் எங்களோட ஷூட் அங்கே தான். ஸோ அப்போ யோசிக்கும் போது சரி அந்த நீங்கள் சொன்ன மாதிரி பெர்மிஷன் வாங்குறதுலேருந்து எவ்வளோ டேஸ் அப்படிங்கிறதுல எல்லாத்துலேயுமே கணக்கு இருக்கு இல்லையா? ஸோ அதை ரெடியூஸ் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னா தென் வி ஹேவ் டு கோ இன் டு விர்ச்சுவல் மோட் சில ஆஸ்பெக்ட். ஸோ அதுக்காக தான் அந்த கொஸ்டின்.
டெஃபினட்டாக பண்ணலாம். நீங்கள் எடுத்து வந்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு 2 நாள் 3 நாள் ஸ்பெண்ட் எடுத்து வந்தீங்களா கேன் டூ இட். பட் 180 வேணுமான்றது தெரியல. உங்களோட எக்ஸாக்ட் இது ரிக்வயர்மெண்ட் பார்த்து வி கேன்.
ஓகே, தேங்க்யூ வெரி மச்.
இதுதான் லான்ச். இதுதான். ஸோ I think main thing is like also previous, like for very expensive films you can do a previous of the whole, like a workshop. Artists were cheap. You can use it in very, very different ways. So you don't have to go to the location. You can actually make it an effective experimental place. Usage is what we do. But actually avadhan pesano na vandu.
Doing a program tomorrow for the education them to understand. We're doing a program tomorrow, morning and evening. Then we will extend that to more courses. Some internship we want to learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So we are at the end stage. So press order questionnaires mudinjachu. We made it so limited. So thank you so much for making my கேம்பவான்ஸ் கொஞ்சம் ஈஸி பண்ணதுக்கு ரொம்ப நன்றி ப்ரெஸ் டீம். ஸோ நெக்ஸ்ட் தேங்க்யூ ஸோ மச் ஃபார் மேக்கிங் த கிராண்ட் லான்ச் அ மோர் சக்ஸஸ்ஃபுல் டே. யூ ஸ்ட்ரீம் இனிமேல் உங்களுக்காக அட் ARR ஃபிலிம் சிட்டி இனிமேல் திறந்து வைக்கப்படும். டூ கான்டாக்டர்ஸ். ஸோ உங்களுக்காக இன்னுமே ஈஸி பண்ணுறதுக்காக வி ஹாவ் அ QR ஹியர். யூ கேன் ஜஸ்ட் கிராப் தி QR. உங்களோட டீட்டெயில்ஸ் உங்களுக்கு ஃபர்தர் மோர் டீட்டெயில்ஸ் தெரிஞ்சுக்கணுன்னா ப்ளீஸ் ஃபிங்கர்ஸ் ஆன். ஸோ இந்த QR ஸ்கேன் பண்ணி நீங்கள் உங்களோட டீட்டெயில்ஸ் கொடுக்கலாம் ஃபார் எனி ஃபியூச்சர் என்கொயரிஸ் அண்ட் ரிக்வயர்மெண்ட்ஸ். So this will be displayed for next few minutes. Post this, I would request everybody to join me for the lunch party. ஸோ இதுக்கப்புறம் ஒரு பியூட்டிஃபுல் வண்டர்ஃபுல்லான லஞ்ச் பார்ட்டி இருக்குது. ஏன்னா ஏழமன் சாருக்கு பிடிச்ச ஒரு டிஷ் தான் நம்மளுக்கு இங்கே போட்டிருக்காங்க. ஸோ ஆப்வியஸ்லி எவ்ரிபடி நோஸ் இட் இஸ் பிரியாணி மூமெண்ட். ஸோ இந்த செலிப்ரேஷனை இன்னுமே எனர்ஜைஸ் ஆக்கிறதுக்காக பிரியாணி மூமெண்ட் கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. தேங்க்யூ ஸோ மச் சார். ஸோ ஐ வுட் ரிக்வெஸ்ட் எவ்ரிபடி டு ஜாயின் மீ ஃபார் தி லஞ்ச் பார்ட்டி ஃபர்தர் மோர். ஸோ இதை தொடர்ந்து இன்னொரு பெரிய லிஸ்ட் இருக்குது. லெட் மீ ரீட் அவுட் தி லிஸ்ட். த டீம் ஹூ ஆர் ஹியர், இங்கே ஒரு நிறைய பிராண்ட்ஸ் கம்பெனிஸ் இங்கே இருக்காங்க. ஹூ வில் பி டூயிங் தி லைவ் ஷோஸ். இங்கே வந்து டெலிகாஸ்ட் பண்ண போகிறாங்க. தேர் ஆட்ஸ் அண்ட் எல்லாருமே இந்த கம்பெனிஸில் அப்லோட் பண்ண போகிறோம். ஸோ பிஃபோர் தேட் உங்கள் லஞ்ச் முடிச்சுட்டு நீங்கள் இங்கே வந்து இன்ட்ராக்ஷன்ஸ்க்காக வந்து என்ஜாய் பண்ணலாம். ஸோ லெட் மீ ரீட் அவுட் தி கம்பெனி நேம் லிஸ்ட். ZS, Cinematographer, Scenario ARK, Xsense, Galero Systems, Sony, MT, RE Lotus and Track. So these are the companies will be landing up for the next few minutes post lunch. So நீங்கள் எல்லாருமே உங்கள் லஞ்ச் முடிச்சுட்டு உங்களோட செரமனியை வந்து இன்னுமே என்ஹான்ஸ் பண்ணுறதுக்காக இங்கே டீம்ஸ் வந்துடுவாங்க. நீங்கள் வந்து இந்த வீடியோ கிளிப்ஸ் எல்லாமே பார்த்து என்ஜாய் பண்ணலாம் வித் ஃபர்தர் மோர் இன்ட்ராக்ஷன்ஸ் வித் தி கம்பெனி இட் செல்ஃப். ஸோ எஸ், தேங்க்யூ, பெரிய நன்றி உங்களுக்காக. லெட்ஸ் கிவ் அ ரவுண்ட் ஆஃப் அப்ளாஸ் ஃபார் மேக்கிங் இட் அ பிக் ஹிட். ஸோ நிறைய வாட்டி நம்ம தேங்க் பண்ணியாச்சு. இங்கே இருக்கிற நிறைய பேர் யார் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணீங்க, என்ன அப்படின்றது. ஆனால் இதுக்கு பின்னாடி நிறைய பேர் ஒர்க் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. அவங்களுக்காக ஒரு பெரிய அப்ளாஸ் கொடுத்துக்கலாம். ஸோ மேக்கிங் இட் அ கிராண்ட் டே. ஸோ நாளைக்கு இதோட இன்னொரு மேசிவான ஹிட் டேவாக இருக்க போது. பிகாஸ் 300+ ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் இங்கே வர போகிறாங்க. தே ஆர் கோனா லேர்ன் வாட் இஸ் இட் ஹேப்பனிங். அப்படி இது வச்சு இன்னும் பண்ணலாம், என்ன கற்றுக்கலாம் அப்படின்றத வந்து தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறதுக்காக 300+ ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் ஆர் கம்மிங் அப் டுமாரோ. ஆல் தி பெஸ்ட் ஃபார் தெம் அண்ட் தேங்க்யூ ஸோ மச். நன்றி வணக்கத்தோட ஐஸ்வர்யா பாய். தேங்க்யூ. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a kind request. உங்களோட
நான் இங்கிலீஷ்ல ஃபர்ஸ்ட் எடுத்துறேன். இங்கிலீஷ் எடுத்து இங்கிலீஷ் ஹலோ மைக் 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 கேபிள் என் பேக்கில் மைக் கேபிள் சி வா லோகோ எடுத்து வந்துடா. ஹலோ லோகோ எடுத்துடா. எடுத்துனோடனே நான் வந்துடுறேன். ரெடி ஓகே வந்துடும் ப்ரோ.
By learning this making and avoiding expense. Free பண்ணி தமிழ் தரானே
யார் அது
பின்னாடி வரக்கு எதுக்குமோ பயம் மைக் இருக்கு அந்த இந்த மைக் சின்ன கேபிள் அது அப்படியே வச்சு அது இன்னொரு மைக் இருக்கு. தண்ணியோ எடுத்துட்டு போய் தண்ணி அதே ஃப்ரண்ட்ல கொடுப்போம். ஃப்ரண்ட்ல போயிடு அப்படி சைடுல போயிடு. மைக் வச்சிருக்காங்க. வந்து
Okay.